You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
Now, Arkansas ended another college baseball season in Omaha, Nebraska, after they lost to the Ole Miss Rebels 2-0. And I know this is a little bit later. It's been over a week now, but I've had a lot of stuff to catch up on preparing for college and such, so I'm just now getting this up. But this is more going to talk about the season recap and looking forward to a little bit in the future more than it was in this, final game. Obviously, Arkansas fell to Ole Miss. Ole Miss later went on to win the NCAA championship. Arkansas lost 2-0, and they really struggled at the plate. When there was 0 outs or 1 out, Arkansas did not get a single base runner. Arkansas did not record a single walk, and the team only had 4 hits as a whole, all of those being recorded. When there was at least 2 outs, Connor Nolan pitched an absolute gem for Arkansas. 8 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 strikes, and was just phenomenal for Arkansas. Evan Taylor then closed off the 9th inning. And for Ole Miss, DeLucia was incredible for them. He had 9 innings pitched, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks. One of the best performances I've seen in a college World Series game. Arkansas, Connor Nolan put them in good position to win, but nothing was working on offense. Arkansas, they weren't able to draw any walks, which has been an effective point of offense for a while for this team. They weren't able to draw any walks, and they were only to get anything going when there was 2 outs, and it seems like DeLucia was just throwing strikes. Arkansas would either watch a lot of those go early, or they'd hit them early, and then it'd go to defenders. The defense was incredible for the Rebels. But overall, what I'm trying to get to is Arkansas did lose a heartbreaker here. But given how the season went, I think the end result was way above expectations and should be treated as such. Before the season, Arkansas obviously had a really high postseason expectations, being ranked as one of the top teams in the country, and they were expected to be here. But Arkansas finished as the 3rd last team in Omaha, Nebraska, the 3rd best team in all of college baseball. And you flash back to a month ago after Arkansas lost the series at Alabama. Then you go to the SEC tournament, and before Alabama, we lost a series to Vanderbilt at home, a team that did not make the NCAA tournament and really struggled this season, and then lost to Alabama, a team that didn't even make the NCAA tournament. And then you go to the SEC tournament, Arkansas goes 0-2, and all these Hog fans are like, okay, we're going to have to go on the road for a regional. We're not going to host. We're not good enough to host. So then you go to Stillwater, play one of the top offensive teams in the nation, and Arkansas, battles up and wins the first game, loses the second, and fans are disappointed and don't think we win the third. And then Arkansas comes out on top with a great performance to Zach Morris. And then what's next? We got to travel to the coast to play North Carolina, one of the best teams in the nation, a super regional host. Arkansas sweeps that, wins 2-0. And then we go into Omaha here, and Arkansas defeats Stanford, one of the top-seeded teams in the nation. And then eventually falls to a really talented Ole Miss team in the final game of basically a 3-game series where Arkansas defeated Auburn to play Ole Miss again, beat Ole Miss, and then went on to face the Rebels here. This season was a success, though, and I say that because I think the expectations for Arkansas baseball are very high, and that's understanding given the circumstances of the facilities, the baseball spending, and then that totally makes sense. But the high expectations, I think, could kind of lead to a feeling of championship or bust, and that's always not the most important thing. I think the most important thing for any sport ever besides championships will be is Arkansas taking guys and putting them in position to succeed in their baseball careers, because that's how recruiting works. And I would say this season Arkansas outdid postseason expectations and put a lot of guys in very successful positions to play in the MLB. Caden Wallace, Robert Moore, a lot of guys that we won't see again as Razorbacks who will be playing in the big leagues. Arkansas this season had a successful year. I don't think that this year was a failure by any means. What this team was able to do and come back from the adversity, I think was incredible. But I think a lot of, feeling was, it is kind of a championship or bust for a lot of people because of how much talent Arkansas is going to lose this season. Braden Webb, likely to go to the MLB draft. Caden Wallace, Michael Turner, Chris Lanzilli, Robert Moore, Jalen Battles, Brady Slavens, Zach Gregory transferring. All of those guys, those are 8 guys in the starting lineup for this final game against Ole Miss, are expected to not be on this Razorback team next season. That leaves Peyton Stovall, the first baseman, who also could flex over to second. Arkansas is going to have a lot of holes to fill. And then some guys enter the transfer portal. Some backup guys, Heston Told transferring to Texas, which is notable. Zach Gregory entering the transfer portal and such. All these other guys, Arkansas fans, tend to worry a bit more. And that does happen in a lot of sports. I think we saw it last year, especially in football. You had Joe Fouché, Greg Brooks Jr. transferred to LSU, and Arkansas fans really, they kind of, over-worried, and then we landed a bunch of elite different corners and safeties and such, and put ourselves in a good position. Arkansas doing really good on the recruiting trail in general. But the thing I think we have to understand about Arkansas, every sport, but especially baseball here, for transfers and top JUCO players, top high school baseball players who have options to go to the MLB draft or go to high school, Arkansas is a destination. Players want to come here. And obviously, that ties in with recruiting. Arkansas is asking guys to come here, offering them scholarships, offering them starting positions. But guys want to come play for the University of Arkansas. There's no doubt about that. And Arkansas fans have to, not over-worry. Right now, Arkansas doesn't have a catcher on the lineup, which I think worries fans, but Arkansas will find a good catcher. Arkansas is going to find good pitchers in the portal, in JUCO. Top guys are going to come to Arkansas. And the thing is, I really don't see what the development and production that Arkansas is getting out of their baseball coaches, Dave Van Horn, Matt Hobbs, Nate Thompson, and the facilities built. I don't see Arkansas baseball going anywhere. I think within the future, Arkansas baseball has a really bright trajectory. I'm really excited to see what Dave Van Horn and the rest of the coaches can build back up. Now, apologies that this episode was a little bit late. I had to deal with some stuff. But a new trailer for Season 3 is dropping soon, along with some more changes kind of to the podcast, so make sure to stay tuned for that one. But now, signing off, Woo Pig Suey.
That's all for today's episode of All Hog Sports with Sam Stimson. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episode covering all Arkansas Razorback sports. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media too. On Twitter and Instagram at All Hog Sports Pod. Like on Facebook at All Hog Sports and Arkansas Razorbacks Podcast. And on YouTube at that same name. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Go Hogs!